The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. And to my right is a man who battled the chili from a Guatemalan insane asylum this past weekend, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing tonight?
Well, just call me Chief Wiggum, because I would lose that battle. I don't have the wax that Homer Simpson had in that
did you have to drink a candle to survive?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm doing well. I'm ready to go. How are you this week?
I'm ready to go too, my friend. It's a special day. We got a special guest. Before we go on, we just want to remind you about our social media channels right down here below on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. At NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, and on YouTube, it's YouTube.com/NoCredsREQ. And if you're watching right now on Facebook or YouTube, just want to remind you to smash that like button. Smash it responsibly. And on the audio side, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast. And also don't forget to rate and review. No matter how awesome it sounds or how ugly it is, we may even read your review on the air. And because this is a live show, we want to hear from you. Dustin, I know you've been waiting all week to hear the beautiful, beautiful sound of wanting people to comment.
Oh yeah, lay it on me.
That's right, folks. This is a live show. It's an audience-driven show. We want you to engage and comment. Comment on the show. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and I'm even broadcasting to Twitter tonight. Leave a comment. We want to hear from you. But before we do anything tonight, before Dustin and I go into our panel discussion, we're going to bring in our special guest. He is from Barstool Sports. He's also from the Exit 52 podcast. We've got Eric Arditti. Eric, how are we doing today, pal? How's things in Birdland?
Things are good. Everyone is hydrated with the dong bong, and we're I read today that we're like 10% into the baseball season, which kind of made me sad. But other than that, I think we're good. We're rocking and rolling down here.
Yeah. So explain. So to people who are kind of foreign to the dong bong, explain it to us, please.
So last year, the Orioles, every team comes up with something they do after a home run or a big hit. We saw the turnover chain in football a lot, and teams are kind of playing off that. And last year, the Orioles, I forget when, it may have been like early June or something like that, they debuted a home run chain. Home run, you get this big chain, you wear it around the dugout, you wear it in the innings, or the next guy hits a home run, then you pass it on. So the whole offseason, everyone was like, what are we doing with the home run chain? Because they started playing awesome after that. And I don't know if it was a coincidence or what, but it's like, we got to keep this going. So going into the season, it's like, what are we going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to have something up their sleeve? And it was last Monday, Ryan Mountcastle hit the home run against the A's. And I'm eating dinner, watching the game. And I look over and I hit the home run. I'm like, oh, nice. There we go. I'm tweeting about it. I go back to eating dinner. And then I look over again. And I see him with a funnel and a hose in the dugout, and he's drinking from it. And I'm like, what is this? So then immediately it just spread like wildfire on social media. And it's the dong bong, and the Orioles don't want to call it the dong bong. The players call it the Homer hose. But I've heard, I was at the game on Tuesday, and I'm yelling, you dong it, we bong it. What is it, like slam it or something and chug it? Rip it and sip it. There's been a ton. So it's been a fun week in the dong bong world. So again, we're staying hydrated.
The marketing writes itself for a lot of those.
Yeah, right.
It's incredible. Again, I can understand why the Orioles would not want to call it the Dong Bong. I get it. It's fine. The Homer Hose is okay. I said, if you guys keep on winning, I'll call it whatever the heck you want me to call
it.
Hey, and you can sell T-shirts from it, which actually, coincidentally, you already have.
Got two of them sitting right there. We're going to the game tomorrow. I got to decide if I want my black or my orange one. So yeah,
Nice. Well, I may off air. I may offer you an exchange for a no credentials required T-shirt for a Dong Bong T-shirt. We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate. So I wanted to talk about this article you wrote recently, actually yesterday on Barstool Sports, about the reverse boycott taking place in Oakland on June 13th. How did you hear about it? Did you just come across it on the social media? How'd you find out about this?
So the way that I write a lot of my blogs is I try and always have a blog up at least in the morning, and I'll look for stuff at night. And again, if I'm too tired or something, if it's too late and I don't feel like doing it, I'll save it for the next morning. But I'll start a blog and just have the article in there. But I'll go to Reddit and I'll go to Twitter and all that. Reddit's one. And I'll kind of just scroll down and go to the MLB Reddit page and just scroll down that and read what's happening, see what's going on, things that I may have missed or anything like that. And that was one of the ones I saw. Was like A's fans are planning a reverse boycott. And I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. And I clicked on it and I read the article, and SI had already written about it. So I was like, oh, nice. Okay. Like, I think this will be my blog for tomorrow. So I typed it up and, I sent it in. And yeah, I mean, it exploded on social media. I think he got over like 2 million views on Twitter alone, like just the tweet itself with the blog in there. I was like, I was shocked. I didn't think anything would come of it. But yeah, I mean, it's a super interesting idea. I think we're all familiar with the A's and the struggles that they're going through financially and the support from their fans and the play on the field. And I did think it was interesting because, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I turn, West Coast baseball, I turn on an Oakland game and I see 8,500, 7,500 people there. And it's like, oh, this fan base stinks. Like nobody goes. And the guy, I forget his name, the guy who kind of organized this. Listen, we want to show that it's not us. We're
Stu Clary.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So he goes, it's not us. It's not the fans. We would support a good team. I mean, you look, they were, I think they won 86 games in 2021, I think. Like,
they went to the playoffs. They went to the playoffs.
Yeah. And we've seen them have really, I mean, the early 2000s teams were awesome, and money, there's the whole Moneyball thing. But if they field a competitive team and a good team, they're going to have fans. So I thought the guy's point was interesting, where he said, listen, they trade away any person with a heartbeat that shows an ounce of talent. We want to show, Major League Baseball and the ownership, like, we can show out if we want to. We don't want to, which I get, which they're like, I'm not going to pay Major League money to see a AAA roster. And we had that issue with the Orioles a couple years ago. So they're doing the reverse boycott. And I mean, we've seen boycotts. The Orioles had one in like 2007 that didn't work. Someone said the Browns did one outside of one of their games one time. So yeah, it's just a really interesting thing. I like that they didn't do it like, oh, and we're going to do it on Wednesday, or we're going to do it on Friday, because it's like they did it in June. They're going to do it in June because people get time to buy tickets. And my first thought was the A's are going to have to hire a lot more, concession workers and parking people, things like that. And it's like, there's this whole kind of trickle down effect. But I thought it was an idea. It's a kind of a cool story in general. And it'll be interesting that night. I know I'll damn sure be tuned into the Oakland game to see 48, 50,000 people packed into the Coliseum. I said, if anything, it's going to be a hell of a time in the fans. If you're in that ballpark, it would be like a block party. I feel like
I want to see I want to see mosh pits. I want to see guys diving off and slamming into tables. I want to see dong bongs.
Yeah.
They got to make an appearance that night. They can borrow. Yeah, I got no problem. We can send them out there.
No, it is, though, your point about them getting rid of anybody with a talent. They did it this offseason with Sean Murphy. Mm-hmm. Sean Murphy got that contract with the Braves. So it just is – it's one of those things. And I think I read the article as well, and I second your point, because they want to prove that it's not like they're just not showing up. And usually when you hear a boycott, it's in negative terms. So I like that they're kind of putting positive spin on it, if you will. They're taking it in a different direction. Because I remember those Devil Rays. I think there were back in their Devil Ray days. I think there was a boycott outside the Trop, and the fans were chanting, "We want." I forget what the rhyme was, but it ended with Namoli Poo. They said not Namoli Poo. I can't remember what that was, but they had a whole chant going and everything, and they were boycotting it because the team had been horrible for years. And that's not the case with the A's, as you just said. They fielded some good teams, and it's not like it's 20 years ago either. So
and the funny part is that on the 13th they're playing Tampa Bay.
And I think they did that on purpose because someone had said, well, they should do it against the Yankees when half the stadium will be filled with Yankee fans anyway. And someone else on Reddit was like, effective. No, I think they're doing this on purpose to, again, just show like we can get 50,000 there if we wanted, not 25 or whatever. I don't know how many Yankee fans live in Oakland, but I'm sure a ton. But yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
So, I mean, looking at this, reading your article, and we see a lot of the players who've been traded or have signed with other teams over the last couple of years. Is that the primary reason? Do you think that's the primary reason why this reverse boycott's happening, or could the stadium, that whole of a stadium known as is it McAfee Stadium now? Is it McAfee Park? Because to me, it's always been Oakland Alameda Coliseum.
Yeah,
it's how it's always been. Is that the other part of the reason, or it's just particularly just it's a black hole? It's a black hole. Yeah, exactly. If you're a Raiders fan, it's a black hole. But could it be one of those two reasons, or could it be just a mix of those two?
I think it's definitely a mix of them. Because again, I forget where I read this, but it was a couple years ago, and they said, there's probably 6 teams that go into a major league season thinking we want to compete for a World Series. We want to win a World Series. Obviously, everyone wants to, but the Pirates haven't done it. The Orioles haven't done it. The Nationals haven't done it recently. The A's, the Royals, recently, and some of these teams, again, I think the owners are more than happy going into a season knowing they're going to lose, and because again, the owners are going to make their money. They're going to make money whether they win or whether TV
money,
yeah, 100%. Yep, just anything, So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, it is kind of different, but I think it's definitely a little bit of, because like I said, I mean, if they were a good team, they probably would get a new ballpark. But it also seems like this owner, I forget his name, and I've written tons of blogs about him, but it just seems like in the back of their mind, they know they don't want to stay in Oakland. They want to go to Vegas. They want to follow the Raiders. They want to get the bright, shiny new stadium, in Vegas and put the dome on it because it's 135 degrees there in the summer and you can't play outside, So I mean, it's kind of like Major League where the owner's like,
That was my next question. That's my next question. That's my next question. In an alternate universe, could you see a major league situation like this?
Hey, there's only one. What did he say? There's one thing left to do, like win the whole damn thing. Like, I don't know if they got Pedro Serrano with his snakes down in the locker room. They had the possums up in the broadcast booth, but I don't. Again, from the outside looking in, it seems like that is an ownership group that has mailed it in. I mean, they're kind of just. I don't know. It's bizarre because I met up with Dallas Braden last week when I was at the Oriole game because he announced for the team, and I'm buddies with him from when he was at Barstool. He gave us tickets and all that, so I met up with him after the game, and the Orioles were down 7-3, and they ended up winning, I think 12-8, and I kind of just looked at him and I said, "Sorry," and he just he said, "This team, they got nobody." He said, I like the young players they have, but they can't do anything against, these major league lineups and stuff like that. So, and it sucks because, again, I mean, Dallas is a great guy. We sit in the Oakland friends and family section, and I'm sitting with the parents of, Kevin Smith, the shortstop who went to Maryland, who's from Albany. He's from up your way. Him and Kevin Herter were best friends growing up. So that was kind of cool. But, they're going, I think there was 11,000 that night. And I said, it's kind of a bad crowd. And Kevin Smith's parents, we would kill to have this at the college, in Oakland. We would kill to have 11,000 on a Tuesday night. And it's just like, man, you feel bad for these guys making their major league debuts in front of, nobody. Like, you know, these guys who are
I
don't know, like
in front of 3 diehards and a possum in the booth.
Yeah, you can hear everything people are saying about you. You know? So it's a funky situation. I think at some point MLB has to step in and either, hey, you know, piss or get off the pot, guys. Either you got to move or we got to do something here, because again, it's just not good. I can't believe it's 2023 and we're still having a team play. You know, it's like you will see a tweet once a year where it's like, oh, the visitors' bathroom, like, you know, there was sewage coming up from the toilet in the visitors' clubhouse, and so they had to dress in the hallway or something like that. It's like, what? How is this Major League Baseball? Like, how is this a thing? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I think I'm looking up the owner. I think the current owner is John J. Fisher. So I think that's who it is. But you know, the more you speak about the situation, and I don't know that much about it, but it just reeks of like a Sonics situation where Clay Bennett, he came in, he bought the team, he said he wanted to keep him in Seattle, and that was never the intention. He wanted to move him to Oklahoma City the whole time. And you know, it just I hope it doesn't break this way for the A's, but it just sounds like Vegas or bust, you know.
Mm-hmm. Again, everything you hear is like, oh, well, they had a thing with downtown Oakland, or, you know, down to the Bay Area, and they were going to put a $600 billion stadium and this and that. And you see the renderings, and you're like, that looks awesome. And then you realize, and then, you know, something else will come out, and it's like, oh, well, the taxpayers are going to have to afford it, and the taxpayers don't want to do that. So I think –
Because of course they are.
Yeah, well, yeah. And it's like, but I think you're right, because I think it's them being like, look, we want to stay, but we just don't have the money.
Yeah,
I guess we'll just go to Vegas. And it's like, you know, like it's a not a mind trick, but they know what they're doing. They know, like, look, guys, we tried to get a brand new state-of-the-art facility downtown next to the Bay, but you didn't pay for it, so we're gonna leave. And it's also like, you know, again, you strip the team down to the nuts and to the bare nuts and bolts, and it's like, and then when they're like, you know, the ownership will cry, well, nobody's coming, and it's like, because you're not putting a good product out on the field, why would we come? Which again, it's like, it's just that continuous circle, like. You don't put a good product in the field. Nobody comes. You complain that nobody comes. You threaten to move. Blah blah blah. Like, you know, and it's just this complete. It's just the time is a flat circle. It's just over and over and over.
Yeah. Do you think other fans of Major League teams will do this too? Considering the Angels, the Tigers, some of these teams who haven't been in the playoffs in a while. Do you think they'll follow suit too, or it's just a one time? Is this going to just be a one-time phenomenon? Just held to Oakland.
I think it's if you look, I think it's Oakland, and I think it's a team like Tampa, where again the ballpark situation is not great for both places. I mean, they have to be the two worst stadiums, ballparks, or whatever you want to call it, baseball. And again, it's like they're kind of polar opposites, because the Rays seem to just do it no matter what. They don't care. They'll play in the Sandlot and you know, with whatever roster they have, and they'll still win 95 games each. You know, forget about them if they don't spin big like the Yankees or the Red Sox. But no, I don't think a team like Detroit or LA or anything like that would ever up and leave. I think it's much harder for teams to like leave, because again, we have this down in Baltimore where the Angelos family, the brothers are fighting. One brother who basically controls the Orioles had a house in Nashville. So the rumor is like, oh, he wants to bring the Orioles to Nashville. I think baseball would have a conniption if that tried to happen. If they took the Orioles out of Camden Yards and just left this ballpark, that's again a top 5-3 ballpark in baseball, there's no way they're letting that happen. And that's what I tell people. So I don't. And again, it's much harder. I think before the Nats moved from Montreal, which again that's kind of a fluke situation because of the Expos and everything that MLB had to do. Yep. The last team to move was like the Rangers, or I guess the Senators from DC. You know, not a new team. Yep. That was like the last team, and it was like 50 years ago. So I think it's a very rare thing. I don't think it's going to be something that like you're going to see every couple of years, like, you know, a team hopping around. I think it's just going to be Oakland and possibly the Rays, but I don't think a team like Royals. Again, they're just such like a pure classic baseball town. Like people would riot there if they lost the Tigers, and the Angels. I don't think anyone would care if they lost them, but it's LA, so I think they're gonna keep that team. You know, that's like the 8th best thing that people want to do in LA is go to the Angels game.
The 8th or the 80th, we don't really know. It's LA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have no idea. It could be
East Coast are talking about LA.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I do have one comment to note. Kevin Wilson says, "I've been to see Oakland play. It's the worst experience I've ever had at a baseball game."
Oh man!
And our buddy Wonko the same. He says, "Time is a pancake for what it's worth. Delicious, delicious stacks of pancakes."
I like pancakes. I like pancakes.
Light and fluffy.
Light and fluffy. So before you go, Eric, I do want to touch upon a couple things with your beloved Orioles. Is this Orioles team a playoff team?
I said going into the season, I thought they could be. I think Vegas had their over/under. I saw anywhere from like 75.5 to 78.5, which I thought was a little low. I thought they got better this offseason. And again, it's just like kind of law of averages. Like I thought they would be better because of we're getting the, what is it called? Not a universal schedule. I can't think of it, but like they're not playing, they're playing all the teams. So instead of playing the Yankees 19 times and the Red Sox 19 times and the Rays 19 times, they're only playing them 13 times. So I think that helps the Orioles more than any other team in baseball just because of how brutal the AL East is. Yeah. So that I thought right away that's going to help them a lot because again, you used to look up and whoever won the AL East that year, that was a team that went 16-3 or 17-2. It was like whoever could beat the Orioles the most will win the division. It was just that's how it was. I thought their pitching would be much better. It's not. It is bad. They have a lot of guys everyone in their bullpen overperformed last year, and we thought it was great. And now we're seeing some of those guys kind of come back down to earth and probably are more or closer to what they actually are. And it's frustrating because again, we saw a guy like CNL Perez come out of nowhere last year, and he was untouchable and been bad this year. And a couple other guys, and they're still missing some bullpen pieces. So there's plenty of time for them to get that right. But I definitely think they can be a playoff team. I mean, the way they hit the ball, they're top 3 or 5 in a lot of offensive categories. I think going into yesterday, second in runs. They're going to hit. They're going to hit. They have more guys coming on the way. Like that's the problem because it's a good problem to have. You know, the A's would love to have this problem. They have so many prospects. They're just going to have to trade a couple of them. And again, I'd rather have any prospects than not enough. I'll tell you that much. I've been to that. I've been there when there aren't enough. But, I mean, you know, led by Adley Rutschman, who I've been talking about him since 2018 when the Orioles had the first they had the first overall pick in 19, but I knew they were going to get it in 18. So I was already doing research on him. And for years I've been banging the drum like this guy's the real deal. This guy's the real deal. Comes up last year, slow start, and then he just takes off. And that's when the Orioles took off last year. If you can literally pinpoint to when Adley got called up and the team started playing better. So it's, something about him. He's just guys just play well around him and he's elevated everyone. And then a guy like Gunnar Henderson, the number 1 prospect in baseball, who's batting like $150 right now, but he has an on-base percentage of like 360. So even if he's not hitting, he's getting on. Cedric Mullins is starting to round into form, and they've got guys and they're going to hit. It's all about the pitching, especially in the AL East. So I think if the pitching does get better, we can see them make a run. If the pitching stays like this, it's going to be hard because you can't win every game 11-10, 15-14. It's a lot of fun, but it wears on your heart. I'll tell you that. Just one of these games, I would love a good blowout, but the pitching just doesn't seem to have it in them right now. Again, I know we're 2.5 weeks in or 2 weeks in or whatever. So a lot of time left for them to get it right and to, get this back on track. So.
Yeah, you talked about Adley Rutschman. Is he a bona fide MVP candidate? I know we're very, very early into the season, but unbiased opinion, could Adley be a bona fide candidate?
I think absolutely. I think he is a switch hitting Buster Posey. Like he has, again, whatever Buster had, Adley has it. I don't know how to describe it. Nobody knows what it is, but you can tell when a guy has it, he has it. And Adley, again, I mean, it's you look back at Thursday, tie game, bottom of the 9th against Oakland. It's game the Orioles needed to win.
Yep.
One pitch into the bottom of the 9th, boom, walk off. We're going home. The next night in Chicago, they were down, I think 3-1. They just couldn't get anything going. Adley up at the loaded. What does he do? Bases clearing double. It's like he comes up in the big moments all the time. His on base percentage is up around 500. And again, we're 2 weeks into the season, and I get the stats are still fluky. The guy, what's his name? I forget, from the Marlins, isn't going to hit 500 for the rest of the year. I said at the beginning of the year, I think Adley could lead baseball in on base percentage. His walks, going into yesterday or today, he was second in baseball in walks behind Soto. And I mean, he's a catcher who he's playing every single day. They're either, at catcher or DHing him. He puts together good at-bats. I've watched every game this year, every at-bat from him. I can count 2 bad at-bats that he had where I'm going, what are you doing, dude? Like, you gotta have a better at-bat. And it's 2. I mean, it's incredible. He looks like a veteran up there. He's just, I mean, everything about him is professional. I think he's an absolute bona fide, MVP candidate. It's going to be hard with Judge and Ohtani because they're going to do their thing. But, like, I'm hoping the voters get some, like, LeBron fatigue where, like, LeBron could have won any MVP in the last 15 years. It's the same thing with Mahomes. We're seeing it now where they're like, oh, well, Judge won last year, Ohtani 2 years ago. Like, let's sprinkle some votes on Adley. So I definitely my like hot take at the beginning of the year was Adley finishes top 5 at the in MVP. And I tweeted the other day, I said, now I feel like an idiot because he'll probably finish 1 or 2. Like, he's just that good. And again, if you haven't watched him, if you can get an Oriole game on TV, watch him because every night he does something where you're like, this kid's incredible. He's so much fun. And I really do think he's the real deal.
I did watch that game on Thursday when he hit that home run. Wednesday or Thursday. One of those days I was had in the background at work while I was working on it, had in the background just to kill the time between for work. So yeah, I think he's definitely could be definitely a MVP candidate. Dustin, what's your opinion on the matter?
I mean, I think if you go the super traditional route of like MVP as what they actually bring to the team, there is no denying, and I'm a Yankees fan, so I don't know much about Baltimore. I don't pretend to, but Adley Rutschman, from all accounts, like you were saying, Eric, he has it, and it's clear that he has impacted the culture in Baltimore. People want to play well around him. He gets people believing. People were coming out and saying, hey, look, I know this kid is young, but he is the leader of the team. They're even talking about how he's going to be a calming influence on Grayson Rodriguez as the season continues because they have played together, and he knows Adley knows how to, for lack of a better term, he knows how to guide pitchers to pitch a game. So there's just a lot, and given the position that he plays, I mean, if he puts up numbers at catcher, people are going to say, well, catchers don't typically do this. So I think that also helps his case. We've seen offensive catchers like the kind of people still talk about Piazza because of the offensive juggernaut he was at catcher. And I think that's I think that could help Adley's case as well. So I think he's got a shot.
Yeah. And Buster Posey, as you mentioned, Eric, he's another great offensive catcher from the past decade. It seems like every decade we have one transcendent catcher who is an offensive juggernaut, and I think Rutschman is going to be that guy who's going to be that offensive catcher.
And it's scary too because again, the people I've talked to are like, again, his offense is great. He's a little lacking from the right side as a switch hitter, but he's still, I mean, he's improved here right side definitely. And last year was really the first bad year that he's had from the right side, whether it be college or in the minors. But his defense is, I mean, he was second in defensive runs saved behind what's his name, Trevino up in New York last year. And it's like the guy played, he came up in late May, so he's basically the first 2 months of the season, and he was second in baseball in defensive runs saved from the catcher position. So like that really jumps out at me, being like, oh my God, like that. Again, you want to talk about a way that he impacts the ball club, everything. Like you talked about the relationship with him and Grayson. You nailed that because like one of the things that he does that people kind of clowned on, like outside fans, like not Oriole fans early on, was after every inning, he meets the pitcher halfway and he gives him and he daps him up or he gives him a hug or he does something like that. And they were like, where did that start? And he said, I did it in high school and, like little league, just to kind of pump the guys up. It doesn't matter. A pitcher could give up 10 runs in an inning. He could have an immaculate inning. And he's out there giving him a high five or you'll see times in late innings when him and the guy are chest bumping and they're getting into it. And I'm looking around like, yes, let's go. Like I'm pumped. I can only imagine what the guys, the pitchers are feeling and the guys in the dugout. So like you said, this trickle down effect and he just, he's just a born leader. Again, the guy's 25 years old. He's been up for not even a year, and he is no doubt no question about it, the face of the franchise and the leader of this team. So it's fun that it seems like it's worked out, and he's been he's the guy, because I've pushed everything in the middle. I'm going all in on him, and it feels good to finally hit on one, just to knock this one out of the park, I think.
Eric, I know you got to take off in a couple minutes, but I do have one more question for you. It's not baseball related, but it's actually football related. And I know you were a sideline reporter for the Arena Football Network back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
The Arena Football is supposedly coming back in 2024. I would love to get your opinion on it. For me, I'll see it when I believe it, but from our mutual friend, Tim Capper from arenafan.com, the founder of arenafan.com, had an interview with Lee Dutton III last week, announcing that they're looking at different cities like St. Louis and Minneapolis and Salt Lake City. But I want to get your opinion on the matter in regards to the Arena Football League. Do you think it makes a comeback? And if so, how huge would it be?
I hope so. I mean, again, I met a lot of fun, cool people. Again, you included, in that the 2 or 3 years I spent the one summer doing the sideline report, work brigade for 2 years prior. But yeah, I mean, meeting the people, again, getting to interact with the players and all that. Like I said, you've met them, the guys, and it was awesome. I thought it was really cool, because that was really my first, dipping my toe into the Arena Football. I'd watch it on TV and, everything else like that, but being on the turf and being in the end zone and on the benches and stuff like that, like a lot of fun. I hope it comes back. Because again, I thought it was a great product. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, these guys aren't, they're bad football players. They're this or that. And it's like, being down there again in the bench or on the field for some of these games, being like, Joe should be in the NFL. Like, why is Darius Prince not in the NFL? Like,
right?
How does Tommy Grady not get a look? How just stuff like that. And it's like, these guys are awesome football players. And again, to me, I liked it better because they were. I respected it a lot because they were better people. Like, they were very cool and no problem talking to me in the middle of a game. I'm interviewing, coaches. I'm interviewing Keith in the offensive huddle and stuff like that. So that stuff was really cool. I would love to see it come back. I have talked to John Stark a little bit. It's funny because the day he run, he's part of the Arena Fan with him.
Yep.
And I think it was the day that article came out, the day that it was announced. We had talked a little. He had texted me. It was like, yo, did you see this? I put a blog up on Barstool about it. And then that night I go out to get dinner and I'm at Chipotle, and who's in the line behind, who comes in, 2 minutes after I do is John. So we talked about it, and I looked at him and I just said, we getting the band back together? Like, are we doing this? And he's like, we've already got interview requests out to, the commissioner and all that stuff. So I'm like you. I'll believe it when I see it. I hope it does, because again, I thought it was a good product. I thought it was something awesome. And I would love to see it come back. Now I think they do it the right way, involving social media and Twitter, and getting it on Facebook, getting it on Twitch, and some of these, just different platforms. I think that would be awesome. So again, I mean, there's a ton of potential there. There's a ton of potential. When I saw the list of cities, I was kind of like, ooh, because I mean, I'm an East Coast guy, so I was kind of hoping Albany, maybe New York City, maybe a Boston, Jacksonville, maybe Charlotte. You just go kind of Baltimore, you go up in Seaboard. But I would love to see it come back. If there's games in Baltimore, you'll hopefully, I would love to do something again with them. If not, I'll buy a ticket myself and go to the games. Like, I got no problem doing that.
I personally, I'm with Albany being in the National Arena League now. They have Antonio Brown as part of their ownership group. Now there's a big,
I was going to ask you about what's going on. I saw the video today of Antonio trying to kick him off the field on Saturday or whatever. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't see that video. I know he was in the state. He was on the field during halftime. He's in the stands for the arena for Albany's kickoff. But I guess the big to do now is who actually not so much who owns the team, but on the website it just shows Antonio as the sole owner, and it's not necessarily true. He's part owner with local ownership, so it's just really strange situation. But I have a feeling that he was brought in so they could jump ship, because
He's the name.
They go to the arena.
He's the big name. Yeah, 100%.
He's big name. He's going to write the big check.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But the video, again, it was halftime or something, and he's walking along the back of the end zone, high-fiving people, and guy comes up who works for the arena, and you can hear someone's recording, and you can hear the guy go, "You got to get off the field. You got to get off the field." And AB in his typical like AB fashion is like, "I don't got to do nothing. I don't got to do nothing. I own this. I own the team." And the guy goes, "No, you don't." And he goes, "I'm the owner." And the guy's like, "No, you're not." And again, he seemed like a pretty high up guy in the building. And it was just kind of this back and forth where Antonio eventually makes his way to like the exit. And then like a switch flips and he turns back around. And because you're like, all right, good, he's going off the field. There we go. And then he turns back and he goes, "What are you going to do about it? You going to make me? You're going to make me?" And that it's like, oh no, just get off the field. But it's, I literally saw that today and I meant to be like, I got to ask him about that because I didn't know if you were there or not. I didn't know what the story
I was not. I was watching on television that day. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to get my press pass in time, but that's okay. Maybe the rest of the season just to see what's going on.
We'll send AB an email and we'll make sure that credential gets that.
Yeah. Hey, the show is called No Credentials Required, so
that's true.
We're on brand. We're on brand.
Well, no, if AB doesn't need a credential, you don't need one either. You could pull AB and just be like, listen, I got it here. I know what I'm doing.
I'm with him.
That's my credential.
Yeah, right. Eric, thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate you coming on and being a good sport and talking about your article, talking about the Orioles, talking some arena football. Where can the people find you?
On Twitter, at EDITTI22. I will warn you, I tweet a lot. I forget who it was. There was an old NBA player who tweeted out, like, "I don't have any tattoos on my right arm because it's for shooting." And I joke about that, like, that's me with Twitter. Like, full volume tweeter. I will tweet them out, all of them, but when they hit, they're good. So again, if you're not a fan of people who tweet a lot, you don't have to follow me. It's fine. But again, EDITTI22. I try and mix it up a lot. Baseball, NFL. We're talking NBA, Caps when they're good in the NHL. But yeah, the Exit 52 podcast again on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. But just trying to make it fun for the Baltimore fans. So that's my goal.
All right, and we have a past episode, No Credentials Required. I think it was 2 years ago when I got the chance to interview. That was a fun time. So, but Eric, come on back anytime. We'd love to have you. You're an awesome guest. We really appreciate you coming by and talking some sports with us.
You let me know. You drop me a link and out there in like 2 or 3 minutes, as quick as I can get set up. All right.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
Again,
Thanks
Eric.
again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. So that was Eric from Barstool Sports and the Exit 52 podcast. Before we get to our regular scheduled discussion, let's take a trip over to the comments section. We got Jeff S saying hello. Drew Willingham giving the what up emoji. Kevin Wilson says, "I smashed the like button. I don't know how responsibly I did it."
Well,
Kevin, if I know you, you're a responsible dude. I know you smashed responsibly. Jeff says, "I can follow the sports talk. The metaphysical timeline is a flat, a pancake, etc. loses me." Yeah. Lost me a little too. Kevin says waffles are better. Ooh, it's fighting words, Kev. I'm a waffles guy too, but I love pancakes too.
Yeah, that's the thing. We might have to do a breakfast bracket. We might have to do that for a Saturday show.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Wonka the Saint says Reds in our similar boat. Smallest crowd in 20 plus years on Monday. 7,375 according to the Dayton Daily News. Ouch.
Oh wow.
How true. It could be one of those teams that could have a reverse boycott.
I kind of hope that this takes off for the A's so that other teams see it and they go, "Hey, we should do this too. Let's prove to the ownership that if you put something on the field, we'll be there."
Jeff S says Orioles division is so tough. Blue Jays fan here. Have our teams and Tampa Bay and New York, and Sox are usually good too. The Sox are. they're not what they were a couple years ago. Their pitching is kind of suspect too. They can smash the ball, but pitching is kind of.
Yeah, I do agree, though. From years of watching primarily AL East baseball, it's one of the toughest divisions in there because you usually have at least 3 good teams.
It's true. Wonko says, time is a pancake is from Bridget's Dumpster Fire. Jeff, shame on you. By the way, we have a couple of friends. Wonko and Jeff are from a community, a friendly internet community. We're all fans of the show Dumpster Fire with Bridget Fedesi. It's an awesome show. Different YouTube channel. Check it out. It's hilarious. Kevin Wilson says, Mullins is on my fantasy team. That'd be great if he could hit like he's capable of doing. Jeff replying to Wonko says, haha, I know what people are referencing with time. Sometimes it's the Vonnegut stuff too. But when I really think about it, my Homer Simpson voice comes in with, I like syrup on pancakes. Pancakes. And Wonko, I forgot to show this to Eric, but he says, shout out to Barstool. By the way, I love you guys. Thanks for being here, Eric. Well, thanks for being here with us, Wonko. We really do appreciate you stopping by. So now we're going to get into other Major League Baseball topics with some MLB news. And the Tampa Bay Rays finally lost a game on Friday night. They lost to the to Jeff's Toronto Blue Jays. Before they did that, they joined some exclusive company, joining only the 1982 Atlanta Braves and 1987 Milwaukee Brewers as the only 13-0 teams in the modern era. Now, we touched on this last week, Dustin, and we probably won't want to review it again, but is Tampa capable of reaching the World Series?
Oh, I don't know if they're capable of reaching the World Series in my eyes, but they are to me they are definitely a playoff team, and I think they could make it. They could make it far too. I think they could surprise some people. But as far as the World Series, I don't know if it's in the cards for the Rays this year.
Yeah, it's a long season. We're only in the third or fourth week of the season. It's just it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's a bloody marathon. So time will tell. Right now, they're sitting on top of the baseball world at 14-3. They're 3.5 games ahead of the New York Yankees for first place in the AL East. But speaking of the Yankees, let's talk about Garrett Cole.
Oh, yes.
Is Garrett Cole the best pitcher in baseball?
I'll tell you, he's certainly looking like it. At this early juncture in the season, I believe he's 4-0. His whip is like microscopic. Let's look it up here. He's got 32 strikeouts and a 0.741 whip, and his ERA is 0.95 according to Baseball Reference. And I'll tell you, especially with the way the season has started, pitching overall, there has been some struggles with pitching. It's kind of been the purported aces of their teams have had up and down starts. Like they'll look good for a start, and then they'll get shellacked the next start, or it's the opposite. Somebody gets absolutely taken to the woodshed, and then their next start they come out. But Garrett Cole has looked consistent, and he's been the anchor the Yankees need, the ace that they hoped they were signing when they acquired him a few years ago, because he's had some shaky periods in New York, but he's looking rejuvenated. He looks healthy. He's looking ready to go. I mean, he's mowing people down out there like we always knew he could.
Yeah, he's, as you mentioned, Dustin, he's looking like every bit of the $300 million the Yankees back the Brinks up truck, pick up the Brinks truck up for in 2020. My issue with him last year is that I didn't feel like he established himself as the number one starter. He was 1A. Nestor Cortez was 1B. Now Garrett Cole is your ace. He's the established ace. He's established himself as the alpha male of that rotation. And if he could keep this pace going, he's leading the majors in a lot of statistical categories. He's already got a complete game. He's also got the shutout. He had a complete game shutout the other day against Minnesota. And by the way, did you see that? What happened with Domingo Germán on Saturday?
Oh, I did not see that. No, I was probably out thatching.
So John Boy Media has an awesome breakdown of what happened. So apparently what happened was the umpires were complaining that Domingo Germán had too much rosin on his hand. What he was doing between innings, he was applying the rosin on his hand, and he was mowing down the Twins. He was mowing them down like crazy on Saturday afternoon. I think he struck out 7 of the first 9 batters he faced.
Wow.
So he was having an excellent game.
Yeah.
So the umpire told him to wipe his hand or wash his hands, so there wasn't too much rosin on his hand. And he's like, I told you to wipe your hand. You know, you wash your hands. You go wash your hands. And it kept him in the game, so that he was allowed to keep pitching. And Twins manager Rocco Baldelli had a bleep show. He had himself a bleep fit, so to speak, and got himself tossed from the game. And he had every right to defend himself and give a reason why. But it just reminded me a couple of years ago when Donaldson called out Garrett Cole for the sticky substance on his pitching hand.
Yeah.
And when the Major League Baseball said, no, you can't use that anymore, and he was having a terrible year after that. But I guess bygones are bygones in that department. But yeah, Garrett, coming back to where I was before. I mean, this is a good rotation for the Yankees. A solid rotation between Cole and Cortez. Germán is starting to come around. Severino's coming back hopefully very soon. Rodon, unfortunately, is still having back problems. So they're going to have can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Is it Brito?
Brito.
He got shelled his last start. With
he got
the Twins jumped all over him. Yeah,
they did. To the tune of 9 runs. He didn't even make it out. Didn't even make it out of the inning. Yeah. So it's but but the rotation's in good shape right now. They got plenty of run support. Giancarlo Stanton, of course, was notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Again, another go on the IL one more time again. So this is a good rotation. Garrett Cole is definitely the alpha male of that pitching rotation. Arguably, he's the best pitcher in baseball. I know people will say Ohtani or Webb out in San Francisco or even Justin Verlander, but I don't think even Justin Verlander's considered the best in baseball right now. I mean, he could turn it on in a whim, but or Max Scherzer, you could argue he's also the best. But I think for my money's worth right now, Garrett Cole is the best starter in baseball. Yeah,
I would say, and people are going to call us out and say that we're biased, but I would say as of right now,
go right ahead, do it.
As of right now, he is, especially just because he's been consistent. I mean, as a person who has Aaron Nola on his fantasy team, I know what it is to have an ace that is not consistent to start the year. You know, and it seems like a lot of pitchers are in that same boat right now. Like I said at the beginning, so. Garrett has he's taken the mantle right now, and he's kind of on the Yankee teams. He's taken that, what I would say in recent-ish, he's taken that CC Sabathia role of CC when he was pitching in New York. He established himself. He said, I am the person that wants the ball. I want the ball in a shortened playoff series. I want the ball. Even when he was not pitching his best, he always wanted the ball, and he wanted to pitch in the big games. And he was, he was flexing his status those years. And I think that Garrett Cole, as you said, he's starting to do the same thing now.
Yeah. So moving on to our next topic, which is there are 3 teams right now that are in first place in their respective divisions that are pretty surprising to this point. You got Texas, who's in first place in the AL West, Milwaukee, first place in the NL Central, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are in first place in the National League West. What is going on, Dustin? Out of the 3 teams that are I would consider the most surprising division leaders, who do you think is the most surprising division leader of all 3 of them?
Well, for me, I think it's got to be the Diamondbacks. It's got to be the Diamondbacks. I mean, It's not that they don't have talent. I mean, they have Corbin Carroll, who was widely regarded as one of the best young players in baseball. I think he was a highly rated prospect when he was coming up. And they have, in my opinion, some underrated players. They have Christian Walker at first base. He's good. They do have, but the biggest surprise to me so far has been their pitching. Dre Jameson, who narrowly missed out on the fifth rotation spot in spring training, they put him into the bullpen, and he kind of got his feet under him in the bullpen, and then they moved him into the rotation, and he's kept right on going. So he's been looking okay so far. But as I said, it's not like they're devoid of talent, but I think considering the division that they're in, nobody thought that they could keep up. I mean, you got, off the top of my head, you got the Dodgers in their division, you got the Padres in their division, you got even the
Giants.
Rockies. Yeah, even the Rockies. We know what the Rockies can do at Coors Field, and sometimes outside of it. I did not think that Arizona would be atop this position, this division. I mean, Madison Bumgarner has not looked good since he's gone there. He is not the force that he was for the Giants, and they've got a couple of prospects that maybe didn't really pan out the way they thought they were in Nick Ahmed, a couple other players, but it seems to be coming together for the Diamondbacks right now. And they've got some people like Alec Thomas. He's a young prospect for them. If he can keep it up, I mean, who knows? But to me, that's the most shocking because of the division they're in. Do you agree? I mean, what's your pick for the most shocking team?
I disagree, and I'm going to tell you who my most surprising division leader is. It's the Texas Rangers.
Okay.
I talked about them a few weeks ago. They had, to open the season, they had a surprising sweep of Philadelphia, and they just absolutely dominated them from the first game all the way through the last game. They had the 3-game sweep of the Phillies, and they were down a little bit. They were struggled against Baltimore, struggled against the Cubs, but then they come home and they beat Kansas City. They take 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. Then they take 2 out of 3 at Houston.
Yeah, that was impressive. Yeah.
That's impressive, and they've won 6 out of their last 8. They beat Kansas City last night or 2 night. They beat Kansas City yesterday. They shut them out 4-0, and it looks like all the investments that I would say investment. Some would say buying players left and right, but I would say investment of personnel like Marcus Semien, Corey Singer, Jacob deGrom, who unfortunately had to leave the game, yesterday's game with arm soreness, but hopefully he won't be on the IL anytime soon. But you also got to remember their manager is Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy is a winner.
Yeah,
Bruce Bochy won 3 World Series titles with the Giants, I believe. Mm-hmm. So he knows how to win, and they're matching the success that the Tony La Russa White Sox did a couple of years ago when they were in first place, when they were finishing, when they went to the playoffs in 2021. He's saying, "Oh, Tony La Russa, he's too old, he's too old-fashioned. These players won't identify with him." Every player, no matter what generation, identifies with winning. They want to win, and when the Rangers hired Bruce Bochy at the age of 68, 5 years out of retirement, you thought, "Oh, this is just a terrible move. It's just Bruce Bochy's past his prime." No, he's got them in first place in the AL West by 2.5 games right now, and that's against. And granted, Texas is a team that is missing one of their best players, and Jose Altuve is going to be out for I think another month with that broken thumb.
Yeah,
but this is a team that I didn't see coming.
Yeah,
and nobody saw coming. And then again, you also have Seattle in the same division too. So it's right now, it just for my money, it's Texas. Because Texas, they brought in all these players. They also got prospects that came up, that have come up through the system, like a let's see who we got here, like a Josh Young and then Adalis Garcia. They're starting to put together. So I think if they, I don't know, like I said, we both said this is only April.
Yes,
this is only April.
Yeah,
and
but
it's a long season. But right now, that's the team I think is more surprising.
Mm-hmm. No, and to your point, it may be early, but this team just looked like it was going to implode. It had all the makings of they're overpaying for DeGrom, and they're it's a typical throw money at things to try to make it work, and they went out.
They're doing the reverse Yankees when they're spending all this money and they're not winning, they're losing.
Yeah. No, it's come together, and I think I was always a fan of Bruce Bochy, former catcher, I believe, if memory serves, as a lot of managers are. But I remember he managed the Giants, and I think he managed the Padres for a stretch as well. I mean, he's been around a long time. He knows what he's doing.
And as I've always said, Dustin, my theory is that catchers make the best managers.
Yeah.
My humble opinion.
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that for sure. But yeah, what a start to the season for both those teams. I think we didn't expect any of the starts that we've had in their cases.
So Jeff asks, any thoughts on the Blue Jays stars, Vlad, Bichette, Manoah, etc. team as a whole? It's a solid team. I think they got great hitting. They're offensively. I think they're a solid team. Pitching wise,
that's my
a little tough.
That's my main question, Jeff. I wanted to know if you had any as a fan of the team, because I don't follow them to the degree that you do. But I have two questions. One, are you worried about Kevin Gausman? And two, what the hell's going on with Jose Barrios? When they traded for him from the Twins, he looked like he was going to be the ace of their staff. And he is and Barrios is one of those guys, and it's maybe because I got hypnotized by him multiple years in a row for fantasy baseball, but you look at the pedigree of stuff that you have, and you can see these starts where he dominates, and then the wheels come off. Barrios is not. When the Twins got rid of him, I was like, what is Minnesota doing? This is a classic. You build your team around this guy. You build your rotation around this guy. You don't let him go. But now maybe the Twins were clairvoyant. Maybe they knew something that the rest of baseball did not.
Now, we also want to give an update on our Battle of the Bryans.
Battle of the Bryans.
Battle of the Bryans. So I'm going to make a graphic for that. My Brian Reynolds, currently hitting .324 with 5 home runs and 17 RBIs with a very surprising Pittsburgh Pirates. While for Dustin, Brian Anderson of the Brewers, .298 batting average, 3 home runs and 15 RBIs.
All right. I'm still close.
Yeah, the triple crown of the Bryans is up for grabs. Well, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Stanley Cup Playoffs. So thanks for listening to No Credentials Required.
This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air-roasted, 100% money-back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order.
That's right, folks. Invader Coffee, some of the best coffee I've ever had. I've got the Outlander blend. If you go to the link in the description, that's our show link. It's our affiliate link for the show, and you order some Invader coffee. If you order any amount of bags of the Outlander blend, you will be entered to win a muscle car, a Chevy SS Camaro, which looks pretty dang sweet if you go to the website.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want a Camaro? You know,
who wouldn't want a Camaro? But we're looking for some of the. I mean, I bought a bag of the Outlander. It came within, I think, 2 days. It shipped out pretty fast. But
man, yeah, that's real fast.
It's a really good blend. I enjoy it.
I haven't had it yet, but I have enjoyed many of their blends. I'm still loving the Donut Dealer right now. That's been one that I've been enjoying each weekend.
All right. So if you go to the link in the description, either on Facebook, YouTube, or on the podcast side, you go to the link in the description, you order from that link, you use promo code BELLYUP at checkout for 15% off your order. You also help the show by ordering from our affiliate website. So let's talk about some Stanley Cup playoffs. Dustin, the Stanley Cup playoffs began yesterday. They began last night. Some games going on right now. Unfortunately, my New Jersey Devils are down 2-0 to the Rangers at the end of one. Lightning are up 2-0 against the Maple Leafs, which is a little surprising. Watch out for those Lightning. Oh, my goodness. But we're going to talk about our Stanley Cup picks. And Dustin, I'm curious to hear what your picks are, who you've got in the Stanley Cup final, and who you got winning.
Well, and people will question me. They're going to question what I'm doing, but I have the Bruins and my beloved Oilers, who lost in overtime last night against the Kings, much to my chagrin. I have the Bruins winning in 7. Am I trying to do a reverse jinx? Maybe. But I mean, the Bruins just look, they looked great all season. They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat for sure. But I'm hoping my Oilers could do it possibly, but I think the Bruins might take this one.
Now, I've got the reverse jinx going for my team as well, the New Jersey Devils. I have them advancing to the Stanley Cup final to meet your Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, man. What a matchup that would be.
That would be – hey, look, we went to that matchup last New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Down in New Jersey for Oilers Devils, and what a magical game that was.
Yeah, that was
not because
wild.
Not because the Devils won, but just how wild that entire game was from start to finish.
Yeah, it was crazy.
If they meet in the Stanley Cup final, I think the same thing's going to be true. But I've got the Oilers beating the Devils in 6 games. But hey, a lot can happen between now and late May when the Stanley Cup final begins. But I'm of the opinion that I don't believe the President's Trophy. That some people will say it's a curse. There's a curse in the President's Trophy because the team that typically finishes with the top record in the league doesn't go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. The last time, or it doesn't win the Stanley Cup. The last time that happened was 2013 when the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup, and that I think was that was the abridged season, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
that was an abridged season. So, but I do want to show one video from last night, and this is just basically Tyler Bertuzzi, who was brought in from the from the Detroit Red Wings near the trade deadline for a first round pick. Stevie Y bringing in those, and he's going to get those stockpile those draft picks. He decided. I'm one to believe that he's being brought under the wing of a certain pest named Brad Marchand. He did some pesty behavior last night. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Dustin. I want you to take a look and see what he did.
And he's going to get tied up here with Nick Cousins, so he just takes a stick into the bench. Cousins wants it back. Bertuzzi says, you can't, and now I'm going to try and break it. Now, he couldn't break it. It bounced up, so he's like, I'll just leave it right here. And the linesman ends up coming over and shuttle. And he's going to get tied up here with Nick Cousins, so...
Yeah. Tyler Bertuzzi being a douche, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Remember how unstoppable Todd Bertuzzi was in NHL '94? I don't think you couldn't stop him.
Well, a Colorado courtroom would beg to disagree.
Yes,
so.
That is true.
Don't watch that, kid. Don't watch that, kids. Don't watch that video. Oh, poor Steve. Poor Steve Moore.
Yeah,
Steve
it was terrible. And it was one of the dirtiest things. But yeah, no, that's pretty ridiculous, especially going next level and trying to break it.
Yeah, I mean, you just take a stick. He's like, I want my stick. No, you can't have my. You can't have your stick. You can't have it. I'm gonna break it right in front of you. But that's the expected behavior of the Big Brad Bruins from this year. But I mean, I know, Dustin, you have them going to the Stanley Cup. You got them winning the Stanley Cup final for the reverse jinx. I said I'm one who doesn't believe who believes that the President's Trophy winner doesn't typically win the Stanley Cup, and they don't. That might follow suit this year. I know we've had teams in the past like Detroit and Tampa Bay who have finished with the most wins or tied for the most wins in NHL history, and they've been unceremoniously dismissed. Remember in '96, the Claude Lemieux, Chris Draper, I can't believe they shake that guy's freaking hand situation. And the Lightning in 2019 getting swept by the now terrible Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah. That was the most surprising one. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was. Well, before we wrap up the show, we're just going to take one more commercial break. I just want to tell you about Caldera Labs. And it's very exciting news. We now have a new partner with no commercials required. That is Caldera Lab. Say goodbye to the generic face wash on your counter, because Caldera Lab is here to save the day when it comes to your skin. Backed by a leading clinical trial where 9 out of 10 men experienced healthy and visibly improved skin. Caldera Lab has the tools to unlock your best first impression and confidence. And today today and forevermore, until they stop with us, we have an exclusive offer you can try for yourself. And you can try it and wonder why, and you get to see why so many men trust Caldera Labs for their skincare needs. Go to calderalab.com. That's CALDERALAB.com. Enter promo code NOCREDS at checkout, and you get 20% off their best products. I got a chance to try some of their products. Listen, I'm a 45-year-old man. You guys when you hit a certain age, you guys start taking care of your body more. You got to take care of the physical aspect, the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect. Physical aspect is a big one, and this is a youthful glow right here.
Yeah, looking good.
Look at his face. It's a youthful glow. It's back of my face. 45
it's radiating off of you.
It's radiating. If you see a glow coming from Saratoga County in New York, that's probably this guy right here. So go to Caldera Lab, CALDERALAB.com, and use promo code NOCREDS at checkout for 20% off your order. Now we're going to end this show with a new segment I call Ryan's Roast.
Ooh.
Yeah, look at that.
Marshmallow.
Go make some s'mores with this one. All right. So I was perusing social media this afternoon, and I saw, Dustin, I sent you the tweet from the Arkansas Razorbacks football team, who,
oh man,
and I'm not sure what kind of mind they were in when they thought of this to reward their players from last year. The Arkansas Razorbacks football team went to the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah,
I know, Dustin, you don't really follow college football that much, but I know you might pay attention a little bit to some bowl season. But the Liberty Bowl is typically played before, like somewhere between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that kicks it off, isn't it? Is what It's not like,
yes, it's part of ESPN's Bowl Week presented by whatever company sponsors them.
Yeah, Tostitos. something. I don't know.
Hey, it's Ryan's roast gets a bit toasty.
Yeah.
But I just want to say this. The Arkansas Razorbacks finished with a regular season record of 6-6. They barely crested that line. They met the bare minimum for bowls, for a bowl game. The bare minimum these days, back in the day when I was first started watching college football, the bare minimum for a bowl game eligibility was like 8 wins. Now it's 6, with so many bowl games out there, now it's only 6.
Yeah.
What you're doing is essentially you're rewarding mediocrity by giving your players a ring for a 7-win season.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the heck? I mean, come on. I mean, look, I've never been to Arkansas. I'm not gonna belittle the efforts of the players. I know they worked hard. And actually, Arkansas was one of my teams on my radar to watch last year. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and they met the bare minimum for bowl wins. But a ring. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Bart Simpson, that gif of Bart Simpson taking the cake of at least you tried and throwing it in the trash.
Yeah.
This is the participation trophy of college football rings. I mean, I know the University of Georgia, they're going to get their rings. TCU will probably get their rings for advancing in the college football playoff. Conference winners, they could probably get rings. I know the Ohio State, whenever they beat Michigan, they get the golden pants necklace. But you're rewarding a team that had a 7-win season and went to a middling bowl in the middle of bowl season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what really struck me too is like they edited that together. They had like the sound over it.
They spent money on diamonds.
Yeah,
on that ring.
And they were zooming in. They were zooming in on the diamonds. They were like, this is the greatest. Yeah, maybe they went to Jerry Jones, noted alumni of the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they were like, "Hey, Jerry, you throw us some extra cash, we'll throw you a ring."
in lieu of a endowment donation, can you pay for these rings?
Yeah.
We really want to reward our players. Oh my gosh. And again, I'm not belittling the effort of the players, but this is it's
yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of speechless. I mean, I know this is Ryan's roast, but this is absurd. This is completely absurd.
Now it is, and we've all had those divisions, especially in football in recent years. The NFC East hasn't been too good. Now this past season, it was a great division to watch, but there have been years where it's called the NFC least, and then we all remember, well, at least I remember, the year that the Seahawks got that NFC West division title with a record of 7-9. Mm-hmm. Now they did go on to beat New Orleans, who were the defending Super Bowl champs. That game still, that was the Beastquake game. That was the run. But that would be like if Seahawks brass at that time, in addition to the 7-9 division championship hat and T-shirt that everybody gets, that you get for winning your division, that would be like, hey guys, this one was really special to us. Let's get custom 7-9 NFC West division necklaces or something. We need something special to commemorate this occasion. That's what this feels like to me. It's like going the extra mile.
You're going the extra mile for no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness. All right. Well, this has been the first ever and maybe last edition of Ryan's Roast.
You sound so dejected.
I'm so dejected over it. I mean, it's like that meme of the Indianapolis Colts banner when they went to the wild card. It's like, hey, we finished with the bare minimum of the college football.
Yeah.
College football
it's broadcast. I mean, do you think
bowl eligible?
Yeah. and not to as you've said repeatedly, not to belittle the players in any way, but do you think if you're an Arkansas alumnus, And 10 years from now, you're going to look at that ring and you're going to say, oh man, I remember when we really put it together in the Liberty Bowl. I don't know. I
remember, if I remember correctly, the Liberty Bowl is one of the older bowl games in the bowl season. I think is the Liberty, Independence, the Rose Bowl is the oldest. It's the granddaddy of them all.
Oh yeah.
Cotton, Orange, Sugar,
Cotton Bowl.
those the big time names, big time name bowls. The Peach Bowl, it's one of the more established ones, but yes, you've enjoyed this edition, the first ever Ryan's Roast. So thanks for sticking with us. We're gonna go to the comment section before we take off. Let's see. Let's go here to Latina and Callie. She says, "Hi everyone." Hi, Latina. She asked if it was this Major League Baseball topic. Yes, we were talking Major League Baseball. Jeff replied to us. He says, "Manoah and Gausman have been super solid to great starters over the last 2 years. Berrios was terrible last year, but so good 3 years before. He is key for them." Mm-hmm. He also goes on to say, "Go Oilers, go! Good to see a Canadian team win again." Wonka the Saint says, "Oh, Canada." You know what I need to find, Dustin? I need to find the video of from when the Canadian Football League expanded to the United States. There was a singer from Las Vegas who did not know the tune to "Oh Canada," so he sang the Christmas tree.
Wow!
I gotta find that video.
Oh man,
that's hysterical things I've ever heard. Outside of Carl Lewis's version of the national anthem. Yeah, that would still reign supreme because when it starts off terrible, he assures you that he's going to bring it home. He's going to bring it back. He's like, "Oh, I got more for you." I remember where he tries to hit that high note and the Rockets' red glare. Michael Jordan just looks like goes, "What?"
Yeah.
Is a cat dying? Latina and Callie, she says, "LOL, mediocrity. It's okay to be rewarded even if you suck." Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's true. Jeff says, "Really like your show, guys. Thanks for putting it out there." Jeff, thank you for being here. Yeah. He also says the rings might help with recruiting. Maybe. Latina says they need to donate the rings to charity for children's sports. Somebody could do that. Wonko says the ESPN's Football Power Index has my OSU ranked numero uno. I believe I think he means Oklahoma State University. Ahead of Bama. No, Ohio State University. Yeah. Ranked ahead of Bama, Georgia, and that team, quote unquote, or up north who beat us last 2 years. Do we even have a named quarterback? I don't know. He also says, "Great show. Thank you, guys." Thank you, Wonko.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, Wonko.
Appreciate you stopping by. And before we take off, we just want to remind you about our social media channels right down here below: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ and YouTube.com @NoCredsREQ. If you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, thank you for watching. On the audio side, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, wherever you podcast. Rate and review, no matter how nice or how mean it is. We might even read it on the air. So, for my broadcast partner, Dustin Henry, my name is Ryan McCarthy. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. Again, we want to thank Eric Arditti from Barstool Sports for stopping by and talking some baseball and talking baseball, talking about arena football. So we hope we can bring him back here again very, very soon. But in the meantime, we're going to leave you until next week. Oh, programming note, starting next Monday, the 24th, we're going to be on Mondays from now until Labor Day at 7:00 Eastern time. So we hope you can join us. Same no credentials time, different no credentials day. So until then, we hope you have a good night. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Good night, everybody.